Today on the Bandrew Says podcast, we are going to be analyzing how YouTube is helping you make more money when your videos get the yellow dollar sign, sharing some updates surrounding the COPPA ruling, and hearing from you regarding your thoughts on COPPA. So go ahead and stick around. Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome back to episode 192 of the BSP. My name, Bandrew. This is what I says. Like always, timestamps in the show notes so you can skip around and save a couple of minutes. But if you got the time, I would appreciate you checking out the entire episode. If you do want a different version of the show, you can find that at bandrewsays.com. And if you want other educational podcasts, geeksrising.com. Let's start with some good news surrounding YouTube, and this stems from a creator newsletter update from Susan Wojcicki, who is the CEO of YouTube. Now, I am amazed that it took this long to happen, but finally, the CEO of YouTube, a video hosting platform, released a supplemental video to her creator update. What a novel idea, just... Good job, Susan. Priya. Very well done. Unfortunately, in this letter, there isn't much interesting to me, but there is one thing that stuck out to me, and that is YouTube is helping you earn more money on your limited ad videos, the yellow dollar sign, the dreaded yeller dollar sign. So here is what she had to say about that. We're also running experiments to help match your content that could be considered edgy with advertising that fits their brand. As you know, yellow icons are a signal that only limited advertising can run on a particular video because of its content. We're working to identify advertisers who are interested in edgier content, like a marketer looking to promote an R-rated movie, so we can match them with creators whose content fits their ads. In its first month, this program resulted in hundreds of thousands of dollars in ads on yellow icon videos. And honestly, I think this is amazing news. They seem to finally be making progress in the ads department. This is one thing that I have seen people commenting about and screaming about since the yellow demonetization or limited ad icon was rolled out. Why not put edgier ads on these edgier videos? It's done on TV. Watch late night TV. There are edgier ads on edgier videos. It seems like they finally listened and are putting in the work here. Then, the Creator Insider YouTube channel uploaded a video discussing this, and they actually brought up a good point about why this is slightly more difficult for YouTube to do. On traditional media, in many cases at least, the advertisers have the ability to review the content before they place their ads on it. But also, like I mentioned a few weeks ago, most television, if not all television networks, have a standards and practices office who verify and vet every piece of content that goes to air. Because of that, advertisers with almost a 100% certainty can guarantee that their video or their advertisement will appear in something that is ad-friendly. On YouTube, it is the exact opposite. There is no vetting of content before it goes live. The volume of content being uploaded to YouTube is so great that it would be impossible for an advertiser to say, I am going to look at the transcript of all the videos that we advertise on. That would be an impossibility. Also, there is some overlap or some gray area in the limited ad or yellow dollar sign icon ecosystem, let's call it, because there is stuff that where somebody just says the F word one too many times, and then there is other stuff that is more sexual in nature. There is stuff that is more violent in nature. There are videos where people say racist things that may not be completely demonetized but may have limited ads. That type of content is content that advertisers do not want to be associated with. Therefore, it is difficult for an advertiser to say, yeah, I want to run on all limited ad videos, all the explicit videos. So YouTube does have an uphill battle here, but it does seem like they are making progress. And ultimately, I think this is a good thing, especially given the whole COPPA thing where you can't be too edgy. Now you can't be too kid-friendly. They need to have some middle ground, and they are working towards it to make up some of that revenue that they are losing from the COPPA ruling. That's my guess. But good job, YouTube. You are taking some steps in the right direction. Susan, what a boring letter. Knock it off with the corporate speak. Speak to us like we are people. Speak to us like we are people. We don't want to talk to a robot, a corporate robot. Knock it off. Now let's jump to some updates surrounding COPPA. I apologize ahead of time. This is going to be a lot of reading, so it will be painful for both of us. If you have been on YouTube over the last week, you have likely seen hundreds of videos being uploaded surrounding COPPA, people discussing COPPA, people speculating about what COPPA will do to YouTube as well as their channel. The only thing that's consistent from video to video is that we are all uncertain about what is going to be happening. We are all speculating about how this will affect us. Because of this, because everybody is so unclear, and maybe we are all being a bit hyperbolic, the FTC released a blog post trying to clarify a lot of the points. The first point that they focus on is, why is this new system being implemented on YouTube? Quote, to make sure YouTube and channel owners are complying with the law. Okay, sure. Fine, I get it. However, everything said before, however, you can just ignore it. However, the YouTube creators, these channel owners, do not have access to the data that YouTube and Google are collecting on 12 and under kids. This is going to be an imperfect analogy, but I view this as somebody suing a gun manufacturer for someone being murdered with their gun. Yes, they did make the weapon, but no, they did not create the crime. Yes, the creator made a video that is directed towards kids, but no, they did not commit the crime of collecting information and storing information on that 12 and under child. They did not do that. That's my imperfect analogy. The fact that someone is facing fines for someone else breaking the law using their content seems a bit insane to me, but maybe I am a crazy person. Of course, if one of these kids-directed channels was directly collecting information on their audience, knowing that their audience was under the age of 12 or under the age of 13, saying, hey, I know how old these people are, let's go ahead and put out a survey. Let's go ahead and collect email addresses. Let's go ahead and ask for phone numbers and dates of birth and everything. In that instance, 100%, that creator would be breaking the law directly. But my interpretation, again, I am not a lawyer. My interpretation is the creator is being fined for somebody illegally using their, using their content to conduct an illegal behavior. That's my take on it, but I am not a lawyer, I am a dope. The second thing they cover is a recap of COPPA, and they elaborate. COPPA's foundational principle is one that most people can agree on. Parents, not kids, companies, platforms, or content creators should be in control when it comes to information collected from children online. Keep in mind that an operator also might be collecting personal information through an open comment field on its site or service that allows a user under 13 to make personal information publicly available. For example, think of a comment like this on a child-directed site. My name is Mary Jones from Springfield. I love this video. Okay, I guess the creator has the responsibility of limiting that, but I am going to make a suggestion here, and I don't know what goes on in people's homes. I don't know what the proper form of parenting is. I am not a parent. What I am going to suggest, I think that parents and schools need to take a much more active approach in teaching kids about the internet and how to avoid sharing or why they should avoid sharing personal information. Think about the 80s and the 90s. It seems like there was a never-ending barrage of stranger danger announcements. Hey, we're going to talk about stranger danger today. Don't take candy from strangers. Don't get into vans. Don't talk to random people. If you're in trouble, go talk to a cop. That's what it was in the 80s or 90s. I don't know if that is being done surrounding the internet, but I think it 100% needs to be. I can say that based on the behavior of some adults online, that I highly doubt they will talk to their kids about this. Because just because you're over 18 years old does not mean you should be telling everyone where you live, what you're doing every second of the day, when you're going to be away on vacation, etc., etc., etc. All of this can be used against you, you dopes. All of it can be used against you. So because we are seeing adults and parents act this way, it is no wonder to me why some of these kids have no idea about online safety, because their parents are complete and utter morons. No offense. I love that. You can just say no offense, or if you'll excuse the expression, it makes it less offensive. Next thing they talk about is how COPPA applies to channel owners. COPPA applies in the same way it would if the channel owner had its own website or app, if the content is directed to children, and if the channel owner or someone on its behalf, for example, an ad network, collects personal information from viewers of that content, for example, through a persistent identifier that tracks a user to serve interest-based ads, the channel is covered by COPPA. This seems to address the concern or the question I had at the very beginning of this recap. They view ad networks or a third party collecting data on your video by using your video. They view that as you directly breaking the law. Now we understand where the issue is, where the disconnect is. They view somebody else using your video to collect data as you breaking the law. Okay, we understand it now. Next thing they talk about is how channel owners can determine if their content is directed to children. Quote, "To be clear, your content isn't considered directed to children just because some children may see it. However, if your intended audience is kids under 13, you're covered by COPPA and have to honor the rules requirements. Here are some factors to consider when determining if your content is kids directed. The subject matter, visual content, the use of animated characters or child-oriented activities and incentives, the kind of music or other audio content, the age of the models, the presence of child celebrities or celebrities who appeal to children, language or other characteristics of the site, whether advertising that promotes or appears on the site is directed to children, and competent and reliable empirical evidence about the age of the audience." That's about as clear as mud. That doesn't help at all. Still very, very vague and very, very confusing. They went on to provide a little bit more context. Quote, "Unless you're affirmatively targeting kids, there are many subject matter categories where you don't have to worry about COPPA. Examples, employment, finances, politics, home ownership, home improvement, or travel, unless those topics are directed specifically towards kids. Just because your video has bright colors or animated characters doesn't mean you're automatically covered by COPPA. While many animated shows are directed to kids, the FTC recognizes there can be animated programming that appeals to everyone. They also disclose that certain channels admitted in their bio that their videos were made for kids under 13, or they have announced in communications with YouTube that their audience is sub-13. The last guidance they provide is, has your content been reviewed on sites that evaluate content for kids, or do you have empirical evidence that tells you your audience is under 13? And the last thing that they cover in this clarification blog post is what are the penalties. The FTC states that civil penalties can be up to $42,530 per violation, but that they consider a number of factors when determining the fine, such as the company's financial condition and the impact a penalty could have on its ability to stay in business. While Google and YouTube paid $170 million, in another COPPA case settled this year, the operator paid a total civil penalty of $35,000. I am glad that they point this out, but $35,000? That's still a lot of money. And if you are looking at YouTubers, a $35,000 fine would mean they are bankrupt. They are out of business. They can no longer function. The doomed. You fired. They would be fired by the FTC. One thing I can say for certain about this ruling and the implementation of COPPA on YouTube is it is certainly going to disincentivize people from collecting data on their audience that they weren't collecting in the first place. It was Google that was collecting the data. It was these ad networks that were collecting the data. Yes, the creator was getting monetary benefit, and I understand that. What I think this is going to do is disincentivize people from making content geared towards kids. All that's going to be left, I won't say all, but a lot of people who are focusing on making kid-friendly content, they're going to pivot because they need to stay in business, they need to make money. That is it for the update. I will link the FTC blog in the show notes if you want to read a little bit more. Now let's jump to what you had to say, because you all had a lot of great comments and questions about COPPA. First comment comes from Pete Johns. He says, "Great show, Bandrew. I wasn't sure exactly how much I should panic. Now I know. All. It's all." Pete, thank you for the funny comment. I understand why you think that. I don't think that you need to panic all. You don't need to engage all panic right this instant. Just a slight amount of panic, as well as a healthy dose of skepticism about what is told to us, because I don't think anybody is being 100% honest with us. Most of us will be okay. I think that's very clear. Most of us will be okay, but I still think the implementation is very vague, and I think that it is mainly up to the discretion of the FTC to decide who is kid-directed content. So there is a little bit of panic in my mind still. I am almost certain that most of us will be okay, but please do not take any drastic action like I have seen a lot of people doing, where they just delete their channels or delete all their videos and say, "I'm done. I'm done." Don't do that yet. Don't do that, please. Just keep a healthy dose of skepticism and trust no one. Next comment comes from Jeffrey. He says, "Dave over on EEV blog had some very similar insights that seem to match your own in regards to COPPA. He did a follow-up video on YouTube alternatives and limited options as well. It's interesting how the hashtags keep disappearing as well. I suppose they're trying to limit the damage." Jeffrey, thank you very much for the comment. I understand why people are looking for YouTube alternatives, because they think that YouTube is the sole issue here. COPPA is not limited to YouTube. I put a tweet out about this last week. This is internet-wide. As long as somebody is serving content, serving somebody in the US, they need to comply with COPPA. Therefore, YouTube is not the only video serving company that serves people in the US. You got Twitch, you got Mixer, you got Vimeo, you got all of these sites. I don't know if Vimeo has ads. I don't think I've ever watched a video on Vimeo. But Twitch and Mixer, they all have ads. They all have audiences who are likely sub 13. They're going to get hit eventually. Eventually, I am guessing, I am speculating that they will. I think there is some confusion around this. Again, I am not a lawyer, but people think if a company is not based in the US, they don't have to comply with COPPA. I think that is wrong. If you are serving people in the US and collecting data on kids under the age of 13 in the US, you face potential fines or just getting booted out of the states. I highly doubt they would do that, but that's a potential. Just ask Google. How did the EU fine you if you are a US-based company? You don't have to comply with EU laws. Sure they do, because they are functioning in the EU. So before people jump ship from YouTube and say, okay, I am going to go switch to this video hosting service that's hosted in country X, Y, or Z, realize that if that service is available in the US, they are still likely going to have to comply with COPPA laws or face fines or face being shut down. That's my uneducated opinion. I do appreciate the comment, and I'm glad that I am not alone in my analysis. And EEV blog, I'm in great company. So thank you very much for sharing that, Jeffrey. Apriya. Next comment comes from Tay Brownie. Time to start swearing in every video. Funny how things change. Tay Brownie, my opinion is this will not help. Of course, you could start swearing in every video, every other word. Cool. Now you have limited ads regardless of whether the FTC and YouTube view your videos as child-focused or not. But if you say effin', 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 F, and then you talk about, oh, hey there, little buddy, we're going to build some Legos today. Take this big old red block and put it on top of the yellow block. That's still kids-directed content. You're just a dick who's swearing to kids. I don't think it's going to affect if it's kids-directed content or not, if you swear. That's my take on it. Next comment comes from American Liberty. He says, I am extremely sad to say, because of the COPPA update, I now have to redo and rearrange everything we have been doing. Would the movie Insidious be labeled made for children simply because they have children under the age of 13 acting in it? On the reverse side, would someone that wants to make clean content yet have no desire to have an under 13 audience but may have a young actor, 11 years old, does the younger age actor make it made for children? Let's face it, the owners of YouTube are being dicks. Just ban children from the platform already. American Liberty, I understand exactly why you are saying this, and I understand the concern that you have. However, I don't think that the inclusion of someone under the age of 13 immediately means that that is kid-directed content. What I mean is, just because you have an actor who's 11 years old does not mean that you are going to be forced to comply with COPPA because there's a child actor in the video. But a while back, YouTube did roll out limited features for videos that contain children. This was in response to the predators in the comment section of videos with kids. You may end up running into your videos having the comment section disabled if the child actor is in the video for an extended period of time, or if they're in the video at all. Why is their car revving their engine outside? That's my take on it. I don't think that that would directly or immediately mean that your video is going to be forced to comply with COPPA, but YouTube also has their rules about what is allowed on videos that have children in them because they have to protect the children. Because we saw a lot of predators abusing the comment section on videos that contained kids that were completely innocent, but they found a way to manipulate the system and use it in a disgusting, monstrous way. So you may have to deal with other ramifications of having a kid in the video. American Liberty, I hope that puts your mind at ease a little bit. Don't think you're going to face fines just because you have a child actor in it. But if it is child-directed content, or maybe you have, I don't know, who's a famous kids actor? I don't know. If you have one of them, somebody whose audience is exclusively 10-year-old kids, maybe. If you have Barney acting in your horror movie Insidious, that would be horrifying, actually. If that was the case, probably going to have to comply with COPPA. Next comment comes from Fantastic Mr. Nick. I don't know why this is getting so much attention. It's really not a big deal. I think you're definitely giving it more thought than it's worth. Fantastic Mr. Nick, I appreciate the comment. I disagree with you, though. Why did I become Italian? I disagree with you. This is getting so much attention because it is fundamentally changing people's relationship and experience with YouTube. It is changing YouTube from a community building website or a site for audience interaction to nothing more than a video hosting site. Yes, you can say that people who make content for kids under 13 should not be allowed to develop communities for those kids. I agree. There should not be any communities for kids under 12 online or under 13, maybe even under a little bit higher. I agree, because that just says, hey, here's a community for all the predators to hang out in. I agree 100% there. But the problem, in my opinion, is the discretion of what is kids focused is solely in the hands of the FTC. They may be completely fair and even-handed with the implementation of this law of who is going to be kids-only content and who is not kids content. But they also may miscategorize and destroy channels completely. That's also a possibility. Also, kids are not going to stop using YouTube. Just because kids-only content limits comments, limits data collection, and all of that, it's not going to make them stop using YouTube. What this does is disincentivizes people from making content that's specifically designed for kids, that is kid-friendly, that is a place for kids to go. Now, kids aren't going to stop using YouTube. I can guarantee that. Where will kids go now if they want to interact in a community and comment and be a YouTuber, get noticed by a YouTuber? They are going to go to the videos that have comments still enabled. And what are those videos that still have comments enabled? Videos made for not kids. Who are watching videos that are made for not kids? Not kids, adults. Therefore, now you are forcing kids to interact in the comment sections of videos that contain audiences of adults. So although I do agree that kids' data is important to protect, I think that stating this isn't a big deal or it's getting too much attention is wrong. That's my opinion. I still appreciate ya. Thank you very much, fantastic Mr. Nick. Best of luck on your week. I hope you have a good one. Thank you for the comment. Next comment comes from, I don't want a channel, I'm just commenting. Get a lawyer? Have you seen lawyers on YouTube saying they doubt you could find a lawyer who would be able to help you? Start with the vlogs on this very topic that YouTube demonetized for not agreeing with YouTube. IDDub, I agree with you. This is completely new territory, at least for social media. I don't think there have been many, if any, social media lawyers. There's Ian Corzine. I think that's how it's pronounced. He's put out a few videos about this, and he calls himself the social media lawyer. I don't think there are many entertainment lawyers who are really focused on COPPA. That's going to be the lawyers on retainer at these big television networks and movie networks and websites, not people who are uploading to YouTube. People who are uploading to YouTube and have 100,000 subs, they don't know who these lawyers are. These lawyers don't care about them. They likely couldn't even afford the lawyers who are well-versed in this. So right now, there isn't likely going to be a huge pool of lawyers to pull from or who are willing to take this on, because the thing is, if you want to fight a ruling on this, you're going to have to go to court, and you are going to be in court against the United States government. You need a real good lawyer for that. A really talented, a really well-versed, a really intelligent lawyer who is read up on all of the social media terms of service, the law surrounding online social media, all of that stuff. It'll be interesting to see the Chinese curse? May you live in interesting times. That we are, there's no denying that. Apriya, I don't want a channel, I'm just commenting. Last comment comes from Red Fang's Time Rolla. Warms the cockles of my heart origin. It is probably also the origin of the saying that something gives us that warm and fuzzy feeling. The cockles of the heart are its ventricles, named by some in Latin as cochleae cordis, from cochlea, snail, alluding to their shape. The saying means to warm and gratify one's deepest feelings. Red Fangs, thank you so much. I love that you posted that comment and shared that information. I appreciate so much. This channel, this show just becomes more and more educational by the day. How amazing is that? I am also glad that last week when I said, warms the cockles of my heart, I am glad that I wasn't unintentionally saying something sexual. So thank you very much, Red Fangs, Apriya, and now all of you know the origins of the phrase warms the cockles of my heart. And Red Fangs, you warmed the cockles of my heart. Let's jump to my favorite part of the show, the Ask Bandrew segment. All right. If you have any questions that you want answered on this show, all you have to do, go to askbandrew.com. You can submit audio, video, or voice. Audio, video, or voice? Audio, video, or text versions of your question, and I will likely answer them on an upcoming episode of the podcast. We are only doing one submission this week because, good golly, those comments were full, they were amazing, and I wanted to address as many of them as I could. The one voice submission we are listening to today comes from the wonderful, wonderful Chaz. Chaz, take it away, my good sir.
Bandrew! I have 2 questions for you. Question number 1. Since you are a David Lynch fan, I assume you have sunken down the abstract rabbit hole of Twin Peaks. Do you have any thoughts on the first 2 seasons, Fire Walk with Me and The Return? Question number 2. I very much enjoy your lectures relating to financing in previous podcasts. If you could offer 5 or less or more, whatever you'd like, rules to financial success to someone looking to turn over a new leaf, what would they be and why? Asking for a friend. Wink, wink. I possibly putting this in an episode of the podcast.
Chaz, what an absolute mad lad and a legend. I loved that so much. You sound great, like always. Chaz is a voice actor. Doesn't he just let him know in the comments how great he sounds? Chaz, keep it up. You sound wonderful. Question number 1, David Lynch, Twin Peaks. I am going to admit something blasphemous right now. Please do not crucify me. Do not burn me at the stake. Do not harm me in any way for saying this. I did not even finish season 2 of Twin Peaks. I watched season 1, and season 1 was amazing. It was very eerie and very weird, and it was clearly a huge influence on the X-Files and Chris Carter, or at least the early X-Files. You can see the parallel 100%. I loved season 1. Season 2, I think it would have benefited from being another 6-episode or 7-episode series, as opposed to, 20 or was it 18? It's been years since I've tried to watch it. I don't remember too much about season 2. I just remember it didn't have the same magic. It didn't have the same magic as season 1. And if I remember, I think it was a Red Letter Media video. They were talking about David Lynch and Fire Walk with Me in particular. And that movie starts with a character taking a sledgehammer to a TV. That's not a mistake. Lynch doesn't make big mistakes like that. That's him saying, I hate TV, because apparently season 2 was such a nightmare to make. And I think that came across. It lost the magic. It wasn't interesting, and I never finished it. Season 1, though, incredible. Incredible season of a TV show. I need to rewatch it because it's been a long time. I think I bought the entire Twin Peaks collection, season 1, season 2, and Fire Walk with Me. So I'll watch that over the next year or so, and I'll talk about it somewhere. But great question there. Number 2. Oh, yeah, you're going down my alley. I love this. 5 pieces of advice for financial success or turning over a new leaf financially. Disclosure, I am not a financial advisor. This is my opinion. I am uneducated. Sure, I do have a master's in finance, but do not take this as actual financial advice. If you want actual financial advice, go seek a financial advisor. If you follow my advice and end up losing millions and billions and trillions of dollars, that's your fault. Shouldn't have listened to me. Piece of advice number 1. Don't buy stuff you can't afford unless you absolutely need to. What I mean is, do not put yourself in tremendous debt, meaning fixed loans or credit card debt, just to have a good time. And I am definitely not speaking from personal experience at all. No, I've always been wonderful with money. Not personal at all. What do I mean about unless you need to, though? That is very simple. Rent or your home payments, your car payments, your gasoline, and your food. Entertainment, that new iPhone, that new U87 that you want so dearly, you do not need that as much as we would like to trick ourselves into believing that we do. We do not need that. If you have $400 in your bank account and you want that new $1,000 phone, sorry, you're not getting that new $1,000 phone. If the phone that you have is still currently working, you are not getting any new phone. If your phone is completely broken, unusable, you're not getting that $1,000 phone. You're going to Best Buy, you're going to Craigslist, you're going to eBay, and you are buying a phone that is $400 or less. You are not unnecessarily spending money if you don't have it. That's the main thing. You need to be smart with the money that you have. You may see a bunch of websites, especially right now, saying 0% financing for X years and think, oh, cool. I don't have $5,000 right now, but I'm not paying any interest. I'll go ahead and open up that line of credit, that installment loan, and buy this thing that I can't afford right now. You may think that's a good deal. It kind of is if you're 100% certain that you can't afford it. Maybe if you have the $5,000 sitting in a bank account and you want to... The reason why I say it is kind of a good deal is the net present value of money. $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow based on the inflation as well as based on what you can earn on interest rates. So based on net present value of money, if you have $5,000 in a bank account and you're earning interest and you have a loan for 0%, sure, I guess that is a good deal. I still wouldn't do it though. Here's why. Right now, you may be perfectly able, you may be financially stable enough to accept $200 or $300 per month on a payment, or $50 per month on a payment. You don't know where you're going to be 2 years down the road financially. You may be out of job. You may have a wife. You may have a new child. And that takes up that extra money that you had, or you just don't have money anymore. Therefore, you are going to miss payments. What happens on a 0% financing for 5 years when you miss a payment? It's no longer 0%. They jack that interest rate right up. So do not buy a bunch of stuff recklessly on credit. Do not fall into the trap of 0% financing for X years because that can bite you in the butt real quick. Only buy stuff that you can afford unless it is something that you absolutely need. Food, shelter, transportation to a location where you can make work. Actually, make money. Make work. Driving to see your friends is not essential travel. That's the first thing. Number 2, use a credit card, but smartly. Seems kind of counterintuitive based on what I just said. What I mean is you should use a credit card, or at least why I use a credit card. I still use it in the same way I use a debit card. I don't buy anything unless I have money to go home and pay it off immediately or pay it off at the end of the month. I won't do it. But if somebody steals that credit card number, if all of these data breaches get out there and my credit card number gets out there, whose money is being spent by that person who stole my card? It's not my money. It's the bank's money. And the bank is going to be much more motivated to go and get that money back. If it had been my debit card, that thief would be spending all of my money, and when they run out of money, what do I have to spend? Big fat zero. I got no money left. Let these thieves, because it's a never-ending string of data breaches, let these thieves steal the bank's money as opposed to yours. You worked hard for your money. Don't let these thieves steal it. Number 3. I am stealing this from Dave Ramsey, but once all of your debt is paid off, have a savings account that is specifically for emergency funds. He says, I believe, have $1,000 for emergencies. I personally subscribe to the idea of having 6 months of your expenses covered in a savings account. Liquid savings account. I am not saying a CD, a certificate of deposit. I am not saying in an investment account. I mean liquid funds in a savings account that you don't touch unless it's an emergency, unless your car breaks down, unless you get fired from your job. That is for emergencies. This means that if you do lose your job or your car breaks down or anything terrible happens, you get sick and you can't work for a few months, you have a little bit of a cushion to search for a new job, get better, get healthy. You don't have to jump back into work and risk your physical health anymore or as soon. It's difficult. It is very difficult to get to that point. I also like the idea here of every check that you get, put 10% into savings, right into the savings account, done. Don't think about it. Have it at a different bank if you can. Have it at a different bank that you don't carry a debit card or checks or anything to. That's an easy way to do it. You can't access the money. You got to go walk down to the bank to get it. You're going to be much less likely to spend it. Number 4, don't go out to drink. This may be a dumb thing. Maybe you don't drink. I don't know. This is something that I definitely didn't learn on my own. No, not from personal experience at all. Again, this is a mistake I made a lot when I was in college and when I drank. I no longer drink because it's a waste of money and it's a waste of my time, in my opinion. I'm sure I'm boring now. I'm boring. Oh, Bandrew's not drunk anymore. Cool. It's a big mistake I made. I would go out to bars to drink on the weekends, and each night quickly turned into $100 in drinks across 5 or 6 different bars. Then you want to go get food, so you spend another $25 downtown because everything downtown's expensive. Now you're out $125 just for one night. That's crazy. That's a crazy amount of money. Of course, the alternative, which I learned, you could save a lot of money just by going and buying a bottle of booze and drinking at home alone. You could save a lot of money doing that, but it's not a good look. It's not a good look, and it kind of, what is it? You're not an alcoholic unless you drink at home alone? Well, it's fiscally responsible, but that's why I quit drinking. I was being too fiscally responsible. So don't go out and drink. Now I'm remembering why I stopped drinking, because drinking home alone or spending hundreds of dollars at a bar, that's dumb. Number 5. Really, we're on number 5 already. Take advantage of employer stock options and 401k matching. If your employer has contribution matching, 5%, 10%, whatever, deposit at least that much. That way they will match it. If they match up to 10%, deposit 10% of your check every time to the 401k. Otherwise, you're foregoing that same amount of money. If you're depositing $50 every month and they match up to $50 and you don't do it, you're losing $50 every month. Why would you do that? Second, if they have stock options, again, take advantage of them. That's kind of free money. You get the stocks at a discount, and now you have a stake in the company that you're working at. That means that you are going to be more motivated to do a good job, because when you do a good job, the company does better. When the company does better, the stock price goes up, meaning your retirement, your stocks are worth more money, meaning you have more money. It is a great incentivizing factor for employees to have a stake at the company. And you're buying them at a discount. I mean, how can you not do that? I should note, do not put all of your money, all of your retirement into the stocks of your company. Make it a very small portion, because we all know what happened with Enron. Enron went bankrupt. They went belly up because they were breaking a bunch of laws and doing crap that was illegal. There were a lot of people who thought, oh my God, Enron is doing so good. I'm going to put my entire retirement account in Enron stock. I think Enron might have motivated people to do that. What happens when the company you work for goes out of business and your entire retirement is in that company? Now you don't have any income and your retirement account is a big fat zero. Be smart with your investments. On that note, I guess 6, diversify your investments. Have some bonds, have stocks, maybe have some physical commodities as well. I would be very reluctant to do any kind of day trading to try to make money. Do you want to know why? Here's some. I wasn't planning on talking about this. I see people, oh, I'm a day trader. I'm making so much money day trading. I'm doing options. I'm doing all of this speculative trading. You are fighting against people who have computers that can trade in a millisecond. You are going against traders who, their entire day, they spend analyzing a single company. You do not have the same amount of time, unless you're doing it full time, to compete with that. That's why I very rarely like the idea of buying an individual stock. I like the idea of indices. That way you are investing in the market as a whole, as opposed to betting on a single company. I do own some individual company stocks, but those are companies that I bought 15 years ago and never thought about again because I like the companies, I believe in the products, I use them, I like them, and let the dice roll where they may. That's not the saying, but that's what I am saying. So that is my advice. I kind of want to do more of these. I want to come up with some more finance suggestions, and maybe I'll do an entire episode. Maybe I'm not a full-time content creator, so it makes it hard for me to do content creator finance tips. What are my tips again? Just to reiterate, don't buy stuff you can't afford unless you absolutely need to, meaning shelter, transportation, or food. Use a credit card, but smartly. See idea number 1 or tip number 1. Don't use the credit card unless you have money to pay it off at the end of the month. Number 3 is once you've paid off all of your debt, set aside a bit of money as a safety net, $1,000, or if you want to abide by Dave Ramsey's rule, or if you want to abide by my less conservative or maybe more conservative approach, have 6 months of expenses in a savings account in liquid assets. Number 4, don't go out to drink. This could be applied to anything. Don't go out and spend money when you don't have to for food, for drinks, for movies, for anything. Because when you go out, you're paying a huge premium. You can make pasta at home for $1.50 or $2. You don't have to go down to the macaroni grill. Do they serve pasta? I don't know. I've never been. And pay $20 for a bowl of pasta. You don't got to do that. Make it at home instead. If you don't want, I was going to say just drink at home alone instead. I don't recommend that either. Maybe just don't drink. Drinking is stupid. It's stupid expensive. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. That's my personal opinion. I won't judge you if you do drink. More power to you, do you. Number 5, take advantage of employer stock options and 401k matching, and diversify your income. Not income, your investments. Chaz, thank you so much for the voice submission and the questions. I loved answering that and thinking about it and coming up with some tips for you. Let me know if you got any questions about any of these. If you want to talk more about them, I'm happy to. I love this stuff. Super interesting to me. And that's going to be it for today. Chaz, I pray you so damn much. I pray you so damn much. That's it for this episode of the Bandrew Says podcast. If you want to submit a question, askbandrew.com. Different versions of the show. Different versions. I'm glad I'm ending it because I can't talk anymore. Different versions of the show. BandrewSays.com. Different educational podcasts. GeeksRising.com. Until next week, I'll talk to you later. I hope you have a wonderful week, wonderful Sunday, wonderful Monday. You are the best. What was that? I don't know. I sounded like a dying horse. I just killed a horse in Minecraft. Talk to y'all later. Bye.
This has been a Geeks Rising production. Your executive producer of Bandrew Scott. For more information, head over to www.geeksrising.com.